Okay, welcome to the channels. Pro-Brick exclusive with Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison and Pro-Theologist with Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison. This is a doozy, Dangers of Dating Mama's Boys.
The dangers of dating a mama's boy. Hello and welcome to Chengi's World. I am Chengi and you, my precious one, are my world. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, like, share and comment, because here, ladies, is where I teach you how to present as a high value, high status, high worth woman that men find completely irresistible. Now, let's get busy with this conversation, okay? Because this is something that I am so passionate about. The dangers of dating a mama's boy. Now, what we have to first understand is I
think what we first have to understand is mama's boys are real.
I'm going to do another video, and that video is going to be the signs, how to identify when you are dealing with a mama's boy, because it's not always evident in the beginning. It's something that materializes or shows itself up a little bit later, or in more, I call them covert mama's boys. Okay, you got the overt ones, then you've got the covert ones, and we're going to talk about that in a different video. But what I want to do in this video is explore the subject matter of a mama's boy. How are they created, and why is it so dangerous to engage in one, and why will you absolutely 100% never win with a mama's boy unless Jesus comes down and does a personal miracle on that boy, on that man, or unless something profound happens in his life. It will be very difficult for you to date a mama's boy successfully, or even be in a marriage with a mama's boy. And if you are, it's going to be a very difficult, very painful, very horrible experience for you as a wife or somebody in that relationship.
Well, this works both ways. You try and be in a relationship with the mummy's boy's mama. You have no idea. You've got to mirror this if you're in a relationship with a woman who is emotionally enmeshed with a mama's boy. You can mirror this. It works in reverse.
So let's talk about how a mama's boy comes to pass. Usually mama's boys are a result of being mothered by a single mom, and not all single moms create.
I didn't say it, she did. We're back at the single mum.
Mama's boys, but certainly either narcissistic single moms that create a situation where the son constantly either has to prove himself, depending on what may have happened, the origins, maybe what would have happened with the father before the son was born, or the result of that. But the son feels this need to make up for to please mom, and she has built a psychology around him that is you are my man, you are the father, you are the lead. Now, sometimes a lot of women find themselves creating this scenario without actually being conscious that they're doing it. They find themselves creating a mama's boy scenario with their sons with zero awareness that that's exactly what's going on, because there's a natural vacuum in her life. There's the natural vacuum of a man. And this is why I always say to you ladies, whilst it might seem noble to be single for the sake of your children, if you don't actually put a masculine energy, male man in your life, then what will happen is either your daughter will rise up and become very high masculine energy in order to support you, or your son becomes your pseudo husband partner. And when that happens, you won't realize that this is going on, but you will naturally program him to be the man that never lets you down, okay? Because all the other men have let you down. And so with mama's boys, usually these are women that decided not to date, not to have a relationship, and without them knowing it, they have turned their sons into mama's boys.
They may not date, but they do sneak out for sex. And this could vary. They could be having sex with younger men. They could be having sex with older men. Doesn't really matter to them as long as they're getting a bit. And it's all stealth to these adult sons, usually, not always, but usually. And it's just it's an absolute mess. You got no idea how messy this is.
Whether it's one son or all their sons have become a husband. And this happens a lot, and I've seen this a lot in my family, beyond my family. You know, certainly I know, coming from Africa, from an African context for sure, mothers really do put their sons in the husband role quite profoundly. You know, I for one know my mom couldn't in the past make a decision without either conferring with my brother, or, you know, making that decision with my brother. You know, a man.
These mothers go as far as getting their sons alongside them while they're looking at the internet dating sites. The mother trying to find men off the internet dating sites with the assistance of the son, laughing at the men, mocking the men that are on there, their profiles. And it's quite psychotic, to be honest. It's quite twisted. What has a son got to do with a mother seeking out a partner? Absolutely nothing, right? But this is how enmeshed these mums get their mummy's boy. And they're even into the private life of the mother. They're invited in. And it's so destructive and so unhealthy. It really is psychotic.
And the role of the man is so highly esteemed, and I believe that especially in African context, and I'm sure in other cultures, the role of mother is highly esteemed above the role of wife, which we know is not accurate and not scripturally accurate. And so there are cultures and pockets all over the world where there's no shame in putting your mom first, best interest first. Now, either that, a single mom, or a son of a mother whose husband was either not present or very, very feminine energy husband, didn't have, you know, that strong masculine energy. And so the mom then leans on the son to give her that masculine energy. And so this is how,
mind you, the son doesn't normally supply it the way that they should. I've come into a couple of households of these single mothers, and my energy has just been so far above that of these dysfunctional young adult men that they've had to find, with desperation, even delusion, a way of removing me from the house. And the mother's bought into it. This is how messed up, mindless, and desperate these people are to keep the supply, emotional incestual supply between each other. They know what they're doing, and they've got no regard for the people that they're involved with.
How this dynamic is created. It's very, very strong psychological bond. It's extremely powerful, and to be honest with you, it is not a bond that can easily be broken, and it is foolhardy for a woman to walk into it thinking, I can change this, I can be the number one woman in his life. And I'm sure there are conversations you can have, but this is a very, very, very strong psychological bond. It's like a thread, it's like the umbilical cord hasn't really been cut off and
built on the maternal bond. Okay, it's a lustful, emotional, incestual tie that comes with all the confidence of that and the security of that, even if things are totally and completely out of order. There'll be no regard for the partner of the mother or the adult child once they're been influenced to come into a relationship. it won't be long after that they think that you're in that the dysfunction will begin to show. It'll accelerate at an unprecedented theoretic rate, like you're at a theatre watching a show. The dysfunction and the bond between the intimacy between these two people at the emotional level will absolutely boggle the mind and astound you and psychologically assault you, as though you're watching an affair take place on a grand scale without the sex. These people have no idea how they look in front of you when they're doing it. They'll pull each other away from the attention of the partner. They'll raid the presence of if you're dating one of these people, they'll raid the space that you're in. They'll sabotage arrangements that you have. This works both ways, mother to child, child to mother. Don't underestimate these young sons trying to wreck your relationship. And if the mother's got no backbone, you're just watching this thing disintegrate. She keeps turning up. She keeps trying her best, but then she ends up so split. And you watch it. You've got to be aware of what's going on here, because it's not until after they've got you committed that it starts to manifest. And as you're watching it manifesting and trying to make some kind of relationship out of it, you'll see that the maternal bond is going to win out in the end. They'll stop you from going to their place. They'll condition you into believing that the child can't cope, or they've got some kind of, legitimate grievance against you that's completely been fabricated in the delusion of their mind to justify you not being able to go to see the parent. It's a way of isolating you from the parent. It's twisted, it's warped, it's real, and you have to call it for what it is.
He feeds off the energy of his mother. She is the number one woman. Now, when we're talking about mama's boy, we're not talking about men that genuinely have a respect for their moms and care for their moms and really appreciate all that their moms have done, because these are the men that we want. Because if they love and appreciate their mothers, then we know that they are capable of showing a woman love. But I'm talking about a situation where the man is literally having a relationship with his mother, and the only difference is that it is non-sexual. So he would
True, like I'm telling you, it's frightening. Absolutely. I've seen these grown adult men hop into bed with their mothers. Like it's just another day at the office. And the mother receiving it with open arms. In front of my own two eyes, I've seen this. I've seen them psychologically disintegrate because the mother's showing attention to other people, to the point that the behaviour is so infantile, it staggers the mind.
Refer to her for any life decisions. If he's having a bad day, then he calls mom. If things are not quite going right in his life, he calls mom. Even though you are in a relationship with him, he will call mom. If you have a fight, he will go to mom. If you want to go to Spain, he will go to mom. And when mom says it's okay, Spain is okay, then you can go to Spain. So everything that he does, he defers to what I call his first wife, or AKA the high priestess. And the reason I call the mama's boy's mother the high priestess is because she presides over his relationships. Okay, she's
think these little illegitimate authority roles that the mother puts over them in their children, they haven't even experienced life. They have no clue. You come into these places, man. You've left home when you were 16 and battled through life, and watch what it can do to you. These people are still protected by their mummy. I've even heard some of them call their mother's mummy. It's so sickening. But they give these people authority. And you come in there and you're going, my goodness, these guys haven't even got a clue what life can do to them. They're still on their mother's boob, and they think they know, better than you. You just sit there and you just go along with it all and watch them wreck everything in their path. The mother allows them to destroy any relationship you have with her. She's so emotionally attached to these imbeciles. I'm going to call these mummies boys absolute imbeciles. And really, as soon as you become aware of it, just leave. Just leave. You're wasting your time. You're not going to get anywhere with these people. They end up with each other anyway. In their drunken, emotional, ancestral stupor. It is so deranged. I have to. I don't care what any other professional does. But I put it in the micro-characteristic stealth range of the dark triad, because the damage that it causes to those that aren't aware of it is insurmountable, incomprehensible, and diabolical in the way it penetrates the psyche of its victims.
The guru and the final call on his relationships, on his decision making. The mama's boy will make a decision with you. You will decide what you want to do, and that is always and absolutely subject to change. Now, here's why it is dangerous. The mama's boy will never ever be okay with another woman coming into his life. You need to understand this. She has already built an altar upon which she must be worshipped in her son's heart. Now, if she allows another woman to come into his life, not only is she depleted of her resources, she can no longer call on him, and she's no longer needed in the way that she was needed before. And so she feels dethroned. So she will, and I guarantee you ladies, she will launch a campaign against you. She will literally launch a very systematic campaign. And guess what? She's going to win because she just knows him way better than you, okay?
As a man that's done it hard in life and spent my whole life with women, I've had several of these women, and you will see the children begin their little demonized infantile campaign. You can sit there and predict with the mother, or who at the time is your partner, and tell them step by step exactly what's going to happen, where this is going to end up. Brace yourself now, right? And watch the theatre of it, bit by bit, manifesting in front of you, trying to bring you to your demise, but you're just going about your business with the mother, and she will not cleave to you because she's too incestually, emotionally connected to the son. I remember one Sunday afternoon laying with one of these women, watching one of these sons, totally psychologically depleted, losing this battle against me, relative to trying to eliminate me from the house that the woman was living in, losing the battle. He was psychologically in disarray. He walked out the door heading to the gym, and I could just see that this was really starting to become quite an stressful event for this person, because he could not beat me. If you're in your proper sound masculine mind without any interruption from substances and alcohol and everything, these people cannot psychologically beat you. The woman wants you, but you ain't going to beat the maternal concerns and maternal dysfunctions and lack of boundaries that they've got with these adult sons. These sons will go far as feign suicide attempts. They'll feign a suicide attempt and blame in some indirect way you, and say that, and the mothers will do it as well. If they don't, if the mother wants these people out of their sons' lives, they'll feign sickness, they'll feign illness, they'll feign all these micro characteristic dark triad assaults, psychological assaults and displays to get that covert emotional incestual bond back to where it should be. They do not want outside intrusions into their incestual supply because it's built on lust. It's built on emotional lust, with, and in most cases without the sex. All but.
This woman has been in his life for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. She bred him. Like, if I decide to raise my son and be that mama for my son, trust me, there's no woman that can know my son better than I know my son. I cleaned his diapers, I fed him, I've raised him. So no pretty girl can come out here in these streets and try and, I know how to work him over. So you will never win.
Verse it. These adult men know how to work their mama over. They'll feign illness. They'll feign emotional breakdowns. They'll feign you've insulted them in some way. They'll feign a character assassination on you. They'll feign that you've caused some kind of aggravation that shouldn't be there. And they won't just feign it, actually. They'll completely, blatantly in front of you, try and assassinate who you are to get you removed from that relationship. And I've seen these mothers try not to fall for it as hard as they can. Right, and they'll hang on by a thread. These people will have half of the relationship missing, right, where you're not welcome into half of that person's life that you're with, and you're watching it and you're going, I've even said to them, do you know what you're doing? Because you're not playing the part that you should be in this relationship. I hope you realise my tolerance is limited, and they are completely ignorant to the fact that they're about to be kicked to the curb. And it really doesn't matter, because their security lies in the covert emotional incestual relationship and their addictions and the other stuff that comes with it. Because most of these people, because of the psychological intrusion through the maternal bond and the abuse that's causing internally because there's no boundaries protecting the intimate part of their life, which should really be shared with an outsider, not somebody in the family. They find themselves on medications. They can be dependent on alcohol, weed, and this is all associated with these bonds. I'm telling you, it is dangerous, it is dark, and as this lady is saying here, you will not win. These people know each other better than what you will ever know. And you can be bringing the most purest supply to these people, watching them bound together in their destruction because they've got nothing, most of them. Really, I haven't seen any of them that really have gotten anywhere in life. They've got nothing. They've wasted themselves on each other and their habits. And I say that with sensitivity, but it's the reality. And you're just watching them destroy each other and their relationships. It's quite shocking. It's like a horror movie, and you're trying to play a part in it, and you're going to be the one that's executed at the end of it by these people. So unless you get out of it, you really are not going to come out unscathed unless you're fully aware of how covert emotional incest works. Women have given their lives to these mama's boys and realised after 20 years that this has just all been a waste. And without any fight for the relationship, without any care, they've just gone back to mummy. And sometimes it's the sister. And so too with the mother. You can put 10, 20 years into these people and the relationship's going to end because of their chaos or whatever, and they just, no fight, no nothing, they just disappear. Because they've driven you to the point, sometimes, usually, they've caused a reverse discard. They've put you in a position where they want you to discard them so they can go back to the hidey hole of their covert emotional incest and drugs and stuff without you there. And you've done nothing wrong except getting driven round the bend by the undermining and sabotaging, again, micro characteristic, dark triad assaults that covert emotional incest plays on a relationship you're trying to have with either the parent or the child, depending on what position you're in at that time.
Because there's a foundation of trust, there is a history, there shared tears, there is way too much in the mother-son bond that if that man did not healthily detach from his mom, and if she did not healthily release him into his manhood, you're going to find that it is extremely difficult for you to break that bond. I don't care how beautiful you are. Your role is the mistress to the first wife. So your job, if she allows you to stay, and sometimes they will allow you to stay because they understand that their sons need to get laid, okay, and they're not willing or able, and I'm sure in some situations are willing and able to also provide that sexual stimulation. But they're happy for him to get a lay, and then when he's got it out of his system, then we go back. And once she has decided that she does not like you, because guess what, she's not going to like you. Now, if a mom,
because these people are on it, they come out to get laid, right? But because of their emotional ancestral attachment, they have to return back to the hive. I call it the hive, where they continue on emotionally with these people. If they're on their own, they keep you around. But you'll find in most cases these people actually cohabitate together. Now, I don't know to what extent or what the percentages of where these people actually are intimate, but there are cases, lots of them, where these people are actually being intimate. That's called full-blown incest. We're not dealing with that level of it, and those people are criminals because the impacts of... See, they say that full-blown incest ends in intrusion. They get this sense of intrusion and violation. But covert emotional incest, listen, leaves these people feeling pedestalized, like they've just gotten away with stealing from the partner that they have. I've just spent time with that partner and I've had sex with them, but I'm back here with you. How's that for a victory? It is so demonized. And see, so on the one hand, you've got, if they're in full-blown sexual incest, it's a violation. That sense of violation, but they'll still go through with it because it's addictive. With the covert emotional incest, it's aggrandizement. They feel grandized because they've returned with an outside supply that's had no detriment to the internal connection. There is room for them to allow for that, but don't let them come around or stick around, because you're number one to me and I'm number one to you emotionally, and the outsiders aren't welcome. That's how evil and depraved even the emotional level of this is.
Mama's boy happens, if he does decide, I don't care, Mom, I love her, I'm going to marry her and we're going to make it together, she will create hell in that marriage. She will, when he's not there, she will create hell for her. She will create dynamics in that relationship. She will put a wedge between the two of you. it's horrific. I mean, I feel sorry for women that are married right now to mama's boys who have to live with their mothers-in-law because the mother-in-law wants to be there. She doesn't have to be, but she will move in for an inordinate amount of time. It's a very, very toxic and very difficult relationship to be with. He would rather spend time with mom. He would rather, so you are always the one who comes and gets the final result. So conversations happen with mom, and then he comes home and tells you what's going to happen. You know, the conversations that would have happened in the home, whether it's financial or whatever, he has those with mom. And so, you know, even if you're having a wonderful day and you're enjoying, you know, a day off, he's going to want to spend that day with mom. So, you know, these kind of scenarios are, you will always compete for his attention. There will always be another woman, and she will always drive a wedge. She will always be jealous of you because you are younger, more capable. And so and God forbid, if she does like you, God forbid she decides that you are the woman that she likes. And to be honest, in my experience and observation, very, very rarely do mamas actually ever really like the woman. I have a cousin whose mom is a matriarch and really married her sons, and he's married to the most beautiful, amazing lady. Long story short is she will kowtow, she will go on 1,000 knees and have a million babies. No matter what she does, the mother will never ever like her. And God forbid that she does like you. She will like you for the reason that if a mama's boy's mama likes you, and he will always, we'll talk about the signs of how you are with, to tell if you're with a mama's boy, because sometimes it's not always obvious in the beginning. Sometimes it's blatantly obvious, sometimes it's a bit covert. But one of the thing is, if she does like you, which is rare, but let's say for instance she does like you, she likes you because she can see how she can maneuver you, and she sees how she can weave her way and still be a third party. She likes and so it's a very, very, very difficult thing. And I know that you're probably thinking, Chingy, so what do? I feel I'm in a relationship with a mama's boy, and I'm now entangled, and I am now emotionally invested in this relationship.
I went 9 months waiting for a resolve between a mother and a son that just could not cope with her having a partner, and it was never going to happen. There was never going to be a result. It just was not going to happen. You know what you do? You leave. You just leave. Leave them to it. It's not malicious. Once they've driven you around the bend and the oppression is so bad that you just can't stand it anymore, even if you love that person, just leave. Do you really need those kind of intrusions into what's supposed to be a simple relationship? You're dealing with people that are in their mid-20s and the parents in their 50s, and your life's running out, and they really don't give a damn. You've got to. I hope she says the answer is to leave. Let's find out.
What do I do? To be honest with you, I think that you need to go for couples counseling, and this is something that needs to come out at the gate. Now, you can go for counseling, but depending on whether you're dealing with an overt or covert mama's boy, you could bring it out, but it won't change the dynamic. My advice to you, if you're dating a mama's boy and you need help to get out of that, then I would contact myself or Coach Shani, and I'm going to leave the description link below. It's all in the shop. All you have to do is go under coaches and book Coach Shani or myself, and then we can help work through the process. But my number one advice is run. Number
one advice is, viewers, run. because you've got no choice. You can spend years trying to be the best person that you can for these people, but you're not gonna. It's just a waste of time. You're just a source of sexual supply. The more that you go along with the game and allow these people to have their life, and you just be a third wheel, you'll get told they love you and all this. You've got to be aware of how powerful this is. And the best thing and advice that I can give you is leave. You must leave these people to their micro characteristic, dark triad incestual relationship, covert emotionally incestual relationship. Doesn't mean you have to be mean to them, but once they know that you're onto it anyway, all hell's going to break loose anyway. You are going to come out second best in the end, especially if you don't know what's going on. But I'm well aware of it all, and I can deal with it pretty quick. You bring it out, and it's all going to manifest pretty quick. Best thing for you to do, knowing that ultimately they're going to end up, you're going to end up at the bottom of the food chain. The best thing to do is walk away, leave as peacefully as you can. Let them know that you feel like you've been abused, and whatever they do after, that's up to them. But you get on with being the best person that you can be, putting yourself around people that are, not in those situations, and you watch how good and how quick life can turn around for you. This is Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison on the Pro Theologist channel and the Pro Bricky exclusive channel. Thank you for joining me, and bye for now.